Hey, how's it going? Miles here at Tactical Hive, and today I want to talk to you about different training tools that you can use to get better at pistol marksmanship or overall marksmanship, because there are some things that I'll be talking about down the road and a little bit today about rifle marksmanship as well. And this is a little bit of an evolution, so there are going to be multiple parts to this. We're going to start off with what I used in the beginning of my shooting journey. And the reason why we're creating this video is to help you save time and money, because there's an overwhelming amount of products out on the market. And this stems from a conversation that was started in our own exclusive war room community, where some people feel overwhelmed. So I thought that would be a great idea to share what I've used so you know what really works and what might be worthy of your time and consideration and even your money. So if you're interested in finding out more about these training tools, stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So as I mentioned in the intro, I wanted to create this video because it started off with a thread in our community, the War Room, where people seem to get overwhelmed with a lot of the different pieces of training kit out there. And it's not uncommon, whenever someone talks about gear, a lot of people will chime in because there's endless choices out there. When it comes to dry fire training and improving your skills, there's lots and lots and lots of tools. And so I wanted to create this video to help alleviate some of that overwhelm and help you make better decisions. And we'll start with how I began my journey and then work up to different parts. This will be a beginning of a video series where we talk about the evolution of all the training tools that I've used and what do I still use, what do I really recommend. That said, there are two things before we start that I really want to address here. First, do you need any of these tools? Do you really need any of this stuff to get better? The real answer is no, you absolutely don't. But here is why I like to use these training tools. First, some of these tools are specifically created to address specific skill sets. And if you don't use any of these tools, you can still absolutely get better, but using some of these tools that are purpose-built for a particular skill set will help you get better faster at that skill set. The second reason is overall, dry fire training tools or just training tools in general can make you better faster overall. Yes, I already talked about how some tools are purpose-built, but there's another reason that's probably more important and in general just accepted by lots of people in the industry. And that is a lot of these training tools make things more enjoyable and fun. And if you're dry firing, for example, a lot of people find it boring. If you find a tool that makes it easier, more fun, more enjoyable, you're going to dry fire more. So then you're going to build your skill sets and get better faster. So this is why I do recommend, if you have the budget, then great, go for it. Buy these training tools. Do you have to? You do not need to. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's very important. The second point I want to get across is that there are so many different options out there. And if you're looking for an all-in-one solution, that doesn't really exist. I haven't seen that in the industry. And whenever there is an all-in-one solution, it's usually topped a year or 2 years down the road. The reason being is all these companies are always innovating and getting better, adding more things, getting feedback from customers like you, and they improve. So this can cause overwhelm because let's say right here on this table, I already have a ton of products, and one person might be like, you mean I have to get all of those to work on specific skill sets? Well, unfortunately, yes and no. Yes, if there are certain tools that are working certain things that you really want to get good at. No, because you can gradually move up the ladder. Let's say if you're a beginner, then you might only need a few things. Then once you reach a certain point, then you can perhaps buy the next best thing. Or maybe at that time when you're ready to level up, so to speak, maybe there's now a product that combines other things that weren't on the market when you previously started. So understanding that there are levels to the products that you use is going to be important, because you might feel like, okay, I don't want to get all of those, or I'm just going to wait for an all-in-one, but I don't think it truly exists as of yet. So what I have laid out on the table is everything I used when I first started shooting. Left to right, I'll discuss it all. But before I get into it, we want to thank Vetter Holsters for sponsoring today's video. They're a great concealed carry holster company. They provide great holsters at a good price. They have a wide selection, and I'm pretty sure that whatever your model is, they have it. So make sure to check them out in the description below. That said, the very first purchase I made, other than my gun and holster and all that stuff, was a SIRT pistol, right? And this looks like a Glock. It's kind of shaped, it's not exactly a Glock. And I believe this was made by Next Level Shooting. I can't remember the exact name, but it says Next Level, but I don't, or it says Next, but I think it's next level. And what this SIRT pistol is it mimics the shape of a Glock. It's not exactly the same, but it has a detachable mag here. It's kind of weighted, feels a little bit heavy, just like a real Glock. And it emitted a laser just from the barrel heel with every trigger press. It could be green, it could be a red laser, and you could adjust the trigger sensitivity a little bit. And this was what I started off with because this is what was suggested to me, and this is what the internet, I always saw on the internet, so I used this first. And I liked it as a beginner. This is something that I used a lot. I would shoot targets that I would paste on the walls, different dry fire targets, things like that. And it had its purpose. It allowed me to work on things like trigger press, my sight alignment, sight picture, all of that stuff. I could do mag changes as well here. Okay, this is something that I really like, the mag changes, but there was some shortcomings, which I'm gonna dive into a little bit. I'm gonna circle back because I did not look for a different product just yet. So I used this a lot for a while, but I got tired of shooting different, putting tape or things like that on the walls. So what I did before addressing the issue I had with the SIRT pistol is I still kept that. I moved on and I found a company, Laser Ammo, which was pretty overwhelming in the beginning because Laser Ammo, if you guys check them out, they've been in the market for a while. They have tons of great dry fire training tools. And so I remember going to their site and I was overwhelmed with all the options. So I stuck with my SIRT pistol, but what I did find that I really liked was because I was looking for reactive targets to this laser. And so I had this already. So going to Laser Ammo, they have these cool laser targets, which can emit an audible sound, or they can glow when you shoot them, or they can do both at the same time. I don't use this today, and I'll explain why later on, but it was great. These were something that would allow me to hear if I was hitting the targets and see to a certain extent, because these will light up or make a sound if you hit them without having to, wonder if I was hitting them or have to look for the laser. I could just hear or see these flash or hear an actual sound. And these are great because they would have different types of targets. They're smaller, large ones, different types of silhouettes. You can program them. So it can be fun too. It's not just about you shooting them. Some of them will light up, some of them will be a different color, let's say red, and those are no shoots. So you have to do some target ID, all right? You just can't shoot them all. So there's a lot of different programs, which I found entertaining and enjoying. And what I mentioned earlier in the video, that's super important. The more enjoyable things are, the more you're going to practice and the more you're going to get better. So I used these for quite some time, and till today, I use them a lot, and these targets have evolved where there's a control unit where you can remotely control these and change the program without going to these targets. So you can actually set them up like I used to do, and I still do throughout my house or my dry fire area, put them all over the place, and I use those targets. And for those of you wondering, I will leave a lot more details about these products down in the description below so that you can, check them out whenever you want to. So everything was great with this initial setup. I got to work on a lot of fundamentals, but then one thing I realized was it wasn't my own gun. I wasn't using my own pistol. Back then it was a Glock 19. Even though this simulates a Glock 17, it's not my actual pistol. I didn't get the feel of the trigger, so on and so forth. So I started to look for solutions that would allow me to use my own pistol. And that's when I started to mess around with what you see here. This is called a dry fire insert, and I believe this is called a tap rack. Don't mark my words, I'll search for the exact name later on, but it's a dry fire insert. And what this would do was it would allow me to use a real pistol. This is a real pistol, which is dry right now. And we all know the issue with pistols that, live pistols, and you're doing dry fire. You're going to take a shot, rack the slide, take a shot, so on and so forth. And that's one of the reasons why we also push dry fire mag. It's just a great training tool. But before dry fire mag was around, these dry fire inserts, you could use a real magazine, and what will happen, let's just use a real magazine, put it in here. When I rack, it locks back. Okay, so now if you wanted to shoot, you would have to send it forward, take your shot, then rack it again, it locks back. It's just not a really great experience. So with a regular pistol mag, you're going to insert this to the top here, and what happens is when you insert this, I send the slide forward. Now, when I take a shot and I rack the slide again, I can take a shot without having the slide, to worry about the slide going back, right? One thing to know about these dry fire inserts, they're primarily meant for tap racking. So I'm here, I do a tap, rack, I can shoot, but when I used them before, I would do mag changes. This is why some people might say you don't need to put this in here because you could just keep the mag out and do that, but I would do mag changes. So I did not want to have to worry about this locking back. So that was great for some time, but there were some issues there. I couldn't really use these targets, so it wasn't as realistic. I had to rack the slide all the time. You know, the dry fire mag wasn't out then, and it didn't do what this allowed me to do, which was work my trigger press, right? And then in conjunction, you know, see if I have, you know, working on my accuracy and speed with these targets. So what I did then, kind of the next step was, I also went back to Laser Ammo because they have a ton of products, as I mentioned, and I started using their Sure Strike inserts, basically laser cartridges. And I went with them because they had a whole bunch, like they have this kit you can use for your rifle, you could use it for different calibers. You don't have to buy a laser insert for each caliber. And what that did is I would pop this capsule into the chamber here, okay? It's a little insert, and this would allow me to do the same thing. I can shoot, I would have to still rack, but every time I shot, a laser would be emitted and I could use these targets. So that was great for a while, you know, using the Sure Strike laser cartridges and then the laser targets here. That was great. I got to use my own pistol. Everything was perfect. But I missed how I could use the SIRT pistol and just lay down the hate on these laser targets. It's because I had to keep racking the slide. So there was another tool that I found which I don't have or don't use anymore. And there's a reason why I'll talk about that. But back then it was, you know, I really liked it. It was the Coolfire Trainer. I liked it in the concept of it. The whole idea was it allowed you to use your own gun. You could put a laser here and there would be blowback. You could use CO2 or green gas, I can't remember what it was. And you could use your own pistol and get the benefits of this laser with some recoil, and you could use your own pistol. I mean, the idea was great. And until this day, the company is still out there, and you know, some people love them, some people don't. The idea of using my real pistol or one of my real pistols for training, I didn't like the idea. So now, what do I mean here? First off, with the Coolfire Trainer, I don't have it anymore. You would have to put grease, and eventually 2 of my Glocks got ruined because that grease found its way into the firing pin. I'd have to clean it all out, you know, tear it all down. And then that's kind of segue into the training idea here. I didn't like the idea of using the pistol that I rely on and adding, you know, different things to it that could screw up the firing pin and other components. Okay, and that's just me. You know, other people do it successfully, and that's fine. But for me, like for example, if you watched some of my reviews, pistol reviews in the past, let's take the P365 one. I always have a training pistol and my go-to pistol. Now I know not everyone has that opportunity, but I do not like fiddling with the pistol I'm going to use because things can get ruined, you know, or I have to do some repairs. I understand that with dry fire, there are some limitations. So what I did was I went back to Laser Ammo's site again because I remember them offering different airsoft pistols which have laser barrels. So there will be that blowback, okay? You can get a laser to shoot from it, and these are laser barrels as well. And once again, I don't remember all the details of this stuff, so I'll leave it in the description below. And the reason why I went this route too is all of the pistols that they offer are actual airsoft replicas. And Airsoft, if you've never followed them, they create great replicas of real firearms. So for me, I was pretty much sold. The idea of, okay, I don't have to use my firearm and I don't have to risk getting my firearm ruined. Okay, I'm all in. And you could see I have, you know, different models here, M17, for example, this CZ Shadow 2. This is, even the weight of this is like the CZ Shadow 2. They're very, very identical. And this, for me, was the next step of the evolution. And another reason why I went with Laser Ammo is the very fact that they're using airsoft guns. And I can reconvert these to airsoft and do a little force on force. Okay, some realistic training here where it's actually shooting BBs. Obviously, I would recommend you put on protective gear if you're ever going to do that. So these pistols, once again, will have a laser ammo conversion barrel here, and you can swap that out for an airsoft barrel. These are real airsoft pistols. And they work very easily. So you can either use CO2 cartridges or green gas, and I'll just demonstrate how here. The magazines will allow you to either shoot BBs, or you don't have to use them. You can put some green gas in, like I do right now. I'm just gonna put a little bit, and they last for a while. If you use these correctly, load up the gas properly, you can go through a number of, I've been through this one. I've gone through this one maybe on average 50 to 60 shots. So that's pretty good for this. And so what you would do, you would insert, rack, and this is it. It's very easy. And you get the recoil impulse, infrared or red laser shoots out. You choose that when you purchase the actual training pistol, if you want a red laser or whatever. But very simple to use and very simple to maintain. These laser ammo recoil enabled pistols are really great because they now solve the problem of me using a realistic gun. Now, yes, it's not my actual gun, but remember in my evolution, the beginning evolution, I was using stock pistols, right? So these are stock, so this was perfect for me. And this allowed me to use the targets without, again, racking the slides or things like that. Now it's kind of bright. I can't tell if you can see, but we'll see if you can listen or see it somehow. If not, we'll get some B-roll of these targets so you can see how they work. But I'm going to load this up here, rack the slide, and you might not hear the sound. So let's see here. Yes, right now the indicator, the light indicator, as well as the sound indicator are turned on for this target. So when I shoot this target, it should emit a sound and you should see a light. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn a little bit so the sun's not here and you possibly could see the light, right? The sound might be masked by the sound of the airsoft, but I'm going to try it here, okay? See that? You could hear that sound a little bit. I'm trying to get my mic closer here. There, you see that? And there's a little bit of a red, kind of a light there. So you got a little glimpse of the light that shows as well. So you have, again, that audible sound as well as a visual indication of you taking the shot. So that's the beginning evolution of the training tools I've used to really hone my skills with a pistol. Now I talked about you can use a rifle as well with some of these products. For example, this stuff you can use with a rifle, these inserts you can use with a rifle, and there's a whole lot more products that I'm going to talk about. This is just the beginning evolution. And also, I want to mention that when I started, there were some dry fire training tools or laser training tools that were not in the market yet and are out now. And so I'll create a video too of some of the things that I would possibly have used earlier when I started my journey into shooting. This said, I do still use these a lot. These are very, very powerful in terms of working on your vision and not having to worry about where your shot went. And I still use these a lot as well with these targets. And I use these primarily a lot more with smokeless ranges, which is another offering laser ammo provides. And maybe I'll talk about that later on. But hope you guys like that because I know there are lots of different products out there. If you are just starting, then you might want to follow this progression as well. Or you might want to go all the way ahead. If you have the budget, then maybe buy these targets and then buy some recoil-enabled pistols from Laser Ammo and then take things from there. There are going to be more things down the road that you can use, but this is a great start. Anyway, that wraps up today's video. This is the start of my evolution using different training tools, and hopefully this helps you save some time and money when you're looking for different training tools. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let us know if there are other dry fire training tools that you like. And don't forget, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. We are going to continue this series. Remember, this is just a small sampling and there's a lot more training tools that I've used in my journey, and we'll also bring in some of the other guys to talk about the tools that they've used or are still using. See you guys next time.